This video will cover adding chart titles and grids. Begin by selecting the data to be charted. In this case, we'll chart the 2009-2010 sales by department. Then you can open the chart wizard by either clicking the chart button here, or you can go to the insert menu and choose chart, which opens the same dialog box. The first page of the chart wizard automatically appears, which allows you to choose the chart type. Behind the chart wizard dialog box, a default chart is created using the data you selected. A great first step is to move the chart wizard dialog box to carefully examine the chart to make sure the correct data is in use. And here we have the departments and the sales, and although we have some work to do, it's essentially the right data. Once you're happy with the data selection, you can make the chart type selection on the chart wizard dialog box. So we'll choose 3D and we'll choose cylinder. Column is fine. In fact, just to ring the changes, we'll change it to a bar chart. And there it is, right there. Once you're happy with your chart type selection, you can click Next, which will move you to the data range step, or you can just go out of sequence by clicking on these. We'll click Next to move to page 2. The Data Ranges dialog box of the chart wizard confirms the data you want is being charted by displaying the selection range in the data range text box, and that the data series is to be charted in rows or columns. Clicking between the data series in rows and the data series in columns buttons will quickly show you that this is an important distinction. Let me show you. Here we have the data series in columns, which is what we want, the values for food, snacks, groceries, dairy, etc. Now if I choose data series in rows, all of a sudden we get a very confusing picture. Our departments are over here in the legend, and the values don't mean anything we're trying to chart. So we know that columns was the right option. And there the chart interactively goes back to how we wanted it to be. Also on this dialog box is the first row as label and first column as label checkboxes. In this case, we want to check that first row as label because we had that blank space and now that's gone and our legend is showing up appropriately here. Because our first row of the selection is the years labels, as you can see up here. Now let's go to the third dialog box of the wizard. We're not really going to work with this one. It's naming ranges and customizing ranges. We're not going to worry about that. But I do want to show you the chart elements dialog box. You can add a chart title and subtitle, an axis title for the X and Y axis, and you can display the grids for the X and Y axis, and we're not going to work with the Z axis. So on this, I'm going to call this sales by department. And I'm going to subtitle it prior 2 years. And the x-axis will be the departments. You see there? And the y-axis will be the sales amount. And there's our y-axis label there. And we'll put the grid lines in for the X and Y axis. That means we get the horizontal and vertical grid lines in the chart area. Let's choose to put the legend at the bottom of the chart. And you'll see it appearing down here below. There it is at the bottom of the chart. If we chose to put it at the top, there it is, the right, and so forth. So you can move it around as you desire. Okay, Those are the basics of the titles and grid lines showing.